Good evening, everybody. It's so nice to see you here, and I'm so pleased to be here with our artists tonight, Holger Falk and Stefan Schleiermacher. We've been looking forward to this for, I think, 7 years or so, something like that, ever since I saw him at the Phillips Collection. Some of you may have been at that concert back in 2018 or 19. But in any case, we have a very spectacular program, a very light program of Hans Eisler and Franz Schubert. And we're going to just talk a little bit about it. And I guess one of the things that I would love to kind of get out there first is for you to say a little bit about how long you've been working together, because you've got such a discography between you, and just how that came to be, this collaboration.
Holger is a victim from mine. As you know, I'm a composer too, and I composed an opera for the Opera House in Bonn, I think 22 years ago, and he had to sing my composition. So he is one of my first vocal victims. And since this time, we stood in contact and make some programs, and then it started. I started a career as song accompagner. Gibt's das Wort? Accompanist, yeah. And so we collaborate 20 years, I think.
It's amazing. And what types of repertoire have you done? Because you have this this Eisler set from which we're drawing for tonight, but you've done other things as well.
Yeah. Good evening. We are privileged because, as you might know, classical artists nowadays and CD productions is a special relationship, let's say, because normally, like, the labels don't sell anything anymore, or almost nothing. This is why it's very special to have a contract like we have. We can record every year a CD with MDG in Germany, this label, and they are really artistically interested. So we were lucky to have this contract. So, and we can also decide what we want to record. And this is now we recorded, I think, 16 or 17 CDs now together. And so besides the big Eisler oeuvre, which were around 160 songs or lieder by Eisler that we recorded, we also did a big series of the Groupe des Six composers, like I love French repertoire. And so we did 9 CDs about the Groupe des Six. Groupe des Six is Poulenc, Milhaud, Honegger, Taillefer, Auric, Duret. So we just finished...
Don't forget Satie.
But Satie is not officially part of the Groupe des Six, but the Spiritus Rector. And we also recorded a complete of all Satie recordings. So we did 10 French repertoire CDs also. And the rest is also our contemporary composers, German composers. So we also, because we are people of nowadays, and I was always curious to sing also repertoire that is written today. This is how we met, as he just explained, and I think for the forthcoming of our art form, it's also very necessary to sing or to make music of compositions, like to perform compositions that are done nowadays, composed nowadays.
That's wonderful. Of course, we're all in favor of that here for sure. And another thing that that's wonderful about what you do is that you're also taking composers who are, especially in the States, are not as well known. Like, I don't know how many of you have heard Eisler songs before live. Well, got a couple of people who know what they're doing here, but it's not a common occurrence. So it's a chance to bring this repertoire that is really wonderful that people should know, and also to situate it in such an interesting way alongside the selections from Schwanengesang. And so I would love to hear a little bit about how you put this particular program together with a kind of a mixture of. I think it's limited to only about 4 poets, or maybe 5 if there's an extra one that's slipped in there. But it's just this wonderful kind of back and forth between these poles of Eisler and Schubert.
Many people know music by Hans Eisler, but they don't know that is music by Hans Eisler. They know the music, but not the name. It's like Kurt Weill. You know the music, but nobody knows. This is an Eisler song. Especially in Germany, there are some hits from Klassenkampf. The revolutionary music, songs to sing at demonstrations, and nobody knows that these songs are 100 years old and composed by Eisler, and the text is by Bertolt Brecht. Maybe you know 1 or 2 songs of the program and you don't know that's music by Hans Eisler. Eisler was one of the composers who composed not millions, but hundreds of songs. I think around 500 songs. This is difficult to say because some songs are in many different versions and so on, but around 300 or 400 different songs. And we thought about to perform all songs in a concert, but maybe it's a little bit too long. Maybe. And so we had to make a program with different aspects of the work. Eisler started to compose songs in the age of 16, before studying music at all. This is the first period. The second period, he was a pupil by Arnold Schönberg in Vienna and composed in this time real advanced music, dodecaphonic music, not in the style, but in the sense of Schönberg or Berg. Then he composed, as I mentioned, revolutionary songs for the fight against fascists, real mass songs and mass choirs. Then he had, this is the third period of his composing. Then the next was his immigration around through Europe and then to the States. And he lived in Los Angeles, in Hollywood, was a film music composer. He was also successful as a film music composer, also for absolutely commercial films. I love the pirate film Eisler composed the music. A real historic pirate film. It's crazy. It's not very advanced music, but this he did also very well. And he composed in this time, in this Hollywood time, this so-called Hollywood songbooks. This is a collection of 15 songs, and I think this is one of the most important song cycles at all in the 20th century. And after going back to Germany, to East Germany, this is the 5th period, he composed around 50 songs, but this is, maybe you can say a little bit better as me, it was songs of resignation. His visions of a socialist country has nothing to do with the situation in the Soviet Union or in East Germany, and so the last songs are mostly very sad, and he was very lonesome. And we tried to get from every period 1 or 2 songs that you get an idea what the music is.
Yeah. Some of you might know that Eisler is the composer of the anthem of the German Democratic Republic, Auferstanden aus Ruinen.
We don't sing it.
We don't sing it tonight, although we did sing it at several occasions, and with discussions with the audience. It was really like Special, yeah. But I liked it. It was really like political then. No, the thing is, if you listen to this anthem carefully, I mean, it was composed in 1949, right? Or 49, yeah. Eisler just came back from the United States because he was expelled in the McCarthy doctrine, let's say. He was the first victim of the McCarthy trials because his brother was accused to be a spy, and so they wanted to get rid of him as well. So he came back, and when you read this text carefully and you hear this song, it's just a song of a refugee that comes back to his country with a deep desire to transform it. There's so much desire in this song for building up this country newly after these horrific times of the Nazi regime and after all these deaths. And if you come from this point of view and not from the later point of view about what the regime in the German Democratic Republic did with people, then you get how beautiful this song is, how much love is for this country is in this song. So we decided to sing, to perform this in several occasions, and because it's always, easy to judge somebody also later when you're afterborn, and you have your judgments about a system or about somebody. It's a different thing if a society starts, and with to think about the visions these people had, and which maybe then transformed into something bad as well. But still, it is, you can feel there this impulse of the people who came back, all these wonderful people also that had to flee, otherwise they would have been killed like so many others. And then they really hoped to start something new, which went into the wrong direction as well.
Well, one of the things that strikes me about a number of the songs that you selected is how delicate and just kind of intimate they feel, and I think that comes across very well. And so that you don't. It's kind of a different side than this anthem sort of side that you're mentioning with Eisler, and it's very interesting to hear that kind of next to the Schubert, which sometimes feels like more strident, like in Der Atlas or.
Yeah, your question was, in fact, it was about why did we mix this? Yeah. I mean, the thing is, first of all, we were told a pure Eisler program in the States, don't do it. Okay, then we did already in Europe, we did this, or at least most of this program together already, because we think that Heinrich Heine, the poet of 6 of the Schwanengesang songs that we chose for tonight, is also a very radical poet, and also he was also a refugee. He had to flee from Germany before the first revolution in 48, because he was a politically active poet, and he lived then in Paris, and he was a very open-minded and very, let's say, radical, and also in the form of the poems, very, very open and very advanced poet. And Schubert chose these texts. I mean, this is something. This is also a statement. Schubert lived in a time of repression as well. It was after the Wiener Congress, after Napoleon, where Metternich, this area, they suppressed all the liberal movements in Austria. And the people, this is the so-called Biedermeier epoch that follows then, because people withdrew to their privacy. They could not be so politically active anymore. because they were everywhere were spies. You had to be afraid to tell your opinion. So they also were used to make their art in codes. So when they talk about, you know, intimate things like love problems or whatever, it's often also a political message. It's just not, at that time they could read that. We're not so used to read that. But if we talk about the Doppelgänger, you know, this whole scenery of the song that you hear tonight, it's also something deeply psychological, like you find yourself in a total different society. All of a sudden, you're alone, you don't recognize, you recognize it, but it's not the same as it was before. It's a total loneliness, which I think I talked too much. You got it already, I think, what I wanted to say. The rest you will hear anyway later.
And there is also a musical connection. Eisler, of course, was a fan of Schubert songs, much more as a fan of Schumann or Brahms songs. It's more the line from Schubert to Eisler, and is a connection between text and music to illustrate the music or not to illustrate the music, the priority of the text and the following piano accompaniment. And some of the songs by Schubert could be also by Eisler. You can't, if you don't know, you don't feel that there are 150 years between. In this case, Schubert was in some songs so avant-garde, and Eisler is in some songs, in a hypersense, very traditional, that you don't feel that it's such a long period between these both composers. Also, there's also a musical link, and that's why it was a very good idea. It's much better to make a concert with Schubert and Eisler as with Eisler and Brahms. If you make a song, Schönberg songs, then you can the Brahms. This is a connection. But with Eisler is Schubert and maybe Mozart is the only composers they are linked together.
That's wonderful points. One thing that we're also very grateful to you, in addition to the Schwanengesang selections, is that they chose one of the Schubert Lieder that we have at the Library of Congress, which is On den Mond in einer Herbstnacht. And that's will be on display along with all 25 other Schubert songs that we have at the library. And in here, just when we're done with this, you'll be able to go check those out. And so we're really excited to have a chance to show some of those to people. And we got a chance to look at that earlier today as well. And I'm kind of curious, one of my favorite parts of putting together concerts is having a chance to actually talk to the artists about what they're up to and also show them some of the things that the library has. And I'm curious if anything stuck out to you as of particular interest, or just based on that experience we had a little bit earlier.
Yeah, sure. I mean, to have the autograph of Berg's Wozzeck in my hands was really stunning today. It's fantastic. Like, this collection you have is fantastic here. And also to see like how Schönberg, for example, like, I didn't know that he could write so small. I could, really, it's like you need a loop. You say loop, like it's hard to imagine how. I mean, he was a very impulsive man. How could he do that? Yeah, no, it's really.
I was very impressed. He said, "Do you want to see some more Webern?" It was like in a supermarket. You have some Webern. Do you have some more Webern for the same money? Yes, this was very interesting. And also this piece we chose, this Schubert song. This is a spectacular piano accompaniment. Mostly you can play it with one hand. It's of Karg.
It's scarce, very scarce.
Scarce. it's a long declamation of this fantastic text and only some notes. And there's also, again, a connections to Iceland. There are also songs you can also play with one hand or one note, but this note, which note, and when the note, and in which connection, this is an important thing of a composing a song. And there is, again, a link between this early Schubert and this late Eisler.
Well, I don't want to keep our artists too long, just because it's we give them some time to get going here. But before we go, do you want to say anything about any upcoming projects that you might be having? Do you have any other new recording projects that you can tell us about, or anything of that sort?
Yeah, the next, as we said, the next CD that's coming out is the last of this Groupe de Six project. It's Louis Duret. A forgotten composer, but excellent music, I have to say. This year it was Georges Auric that we published, and now we finished this French. I'm recording this year an orchestra CD with Eisler. It will be the Ernstige Sänger with Chamber Orchestra Munich, and together with a collection of late Eisler songs. Also, wie sagt man, Bearbeitungen, like instrumentations by Steffen of piano lieder that he arranged for orchestra. And I'm going to Asia next month, like to Hong Kong and to Daegu in South Korea. I'm doing an opera project with Klangforum Wien, which is a orchestra for contemporary music, and a performance group from Brussels. Neat Company is their name, and we do a collage of scenes from the operas of the last 100 years. It's a really wild thing. Really wild, and I was surprised that Asian countries wanted to have this project, but why not?
That's wonderful. Stefan, what about you?
Every year I think, don't record CDs. So much work, nobody is buying them, nobody is interested. The result is that I made 100 CDs. And the next, and probably the last, but I don't believe in it, is a CD with piano music by Eisler. It will come maybe in April or May this year. And as a composer, I get a commission from the Gewandhaus Orchestra for the 100th anniversary of Kurt Masur. He was a Gewandhaus Kapellmeister. I knew him very well. He conducted my first orchestral piece 40 years ago. Oh, how old I am. And so there will be a concert to the 100th birthday, and I compose a piece in memoriam Kurt Masur. And then I play the piano, conduct my ensemble, and have to make 10 days later, in the end of February, music for radio play. It's much to do, but the day has 24 hours and you have to fill in.
Maybe I just forgot. Yeah, of course, I'm here on a little tour. This is the only recital we're doing, but then I have 3 other concerts with a project that I created some years ago with Venetian gondoliere songs of the 18th century, together with a Baroque ensemble.
It's a real contrast to our program.
Real contrast, yeah, it's a real contrast. But they are fantastic, these songs. Like they were also published by a publisher that you have in your library. Walsh was his name, a London publisher in the 18th century. And so we did some research, and we recorded this also. It's a nice city, and then we went to Venice with sound artists, and we recorded sounds of Venice of today, and they made sound compositions, and now we have the Venice of the 18th century with the songs connected to the sounds of Venice of nowadays, and that is the whole journey of that evening. And we're doing it in Jacksonville, Florida, and then in New York. On Sunday, we're in New York, Friday in Jacksonville, Sunday, New York, and then Tuesday in Connecticut. And then I'm going home.
Wow. Well, I mean, for those who were at the Francesco Corti concert on Saturday, that was the one that had these John Walsh. We actually had a few out on display of some of these keyboard suites of. Well, he didn't do the suites of Handel, but he was one of the instigators for the suites to be published. And so, anyway, we had one of his editions of the William Babel works that were on that program. So that's part of what he's referring to there. One thing I just want to just say is it's really worth checking out both websites of Stefan and Holger, because they have just to see the range of work that they do, not just in lieder, like the recitals that we're going to see tonight, but also in opera and in chamber music and orchestral music. It's really just kind of astounding, and especially the discography level of what you've produced is amazing, and it's all just wonderful to look at. So maybe we have time for if we have a question or two, we're happy to take them.
There's no question.
Have you recorded Kurt Weill already?
We actually, after Eisler, we thought we'd do also a big chunk of his work. And then we went through it, and we thought, yeah, of course, I mean, he's an outstanding composer. But in the end, but that is our personal judgment, in the end, we thought it's really like, it is not so colorful like Eisler's work. I have to be honest. It's really it's my personal opinion, and it's in one dimension it's fantastic, but it doesn't have these many different ways and honest ways also to deal with stuff, with texts, and that's why we in the end we decided not to do it. Weil, yeah.
Now, the problem with Weill is that these are not piano songs. These are mostly songs for piano and small orchestra. And if you play it in the piano, it's like a reduction. And especially in Weill's music, it got many colors are lost if you play it on the piano.
And it's very theatrical in a way, yeah? And that makes sense, but if you record lead CDs or something like that, we decided against it.
It's stage music. Really, stage music is belong to a story and some Broadway songs. If you play it on the piano, it sounds very poor. We started to look to the scores, millions of songs, but maybe better not.
Thank you. Do we have it? I think there's another question back there. Just wait for the microphone. Thank you.
Yeah, hi. Is there anything that's unique to Schubert's writing and songs, given his reputation for harmonic invention, that he does in the songs that he doesn't do in his other work? Does that make sense? Like, he's known for, harmonic invention in all his pieces, but what is it about what are the things that he does in his songs that would stand out that he isn't able to do in the other works?
Yeah, I'd say it's a late work, yeah, and he's really like a very. I'd say it has almost in some songs like expressionist movement that you would expect, like for example, as I said already, the Doppelgänger or Die Stadt. They are two songs, for example. You could also think they are written in the 20s of the 20th century. Yeah, and but they are not all like this. Yeah, das Fischermädchen is very traditionally would say. But the mixture makes it. The Atlas is very famous. It's also very expressive song, but not so like the Doppelgänger or the Die Stadt. They are really like, and then you have very, very subtle pieces like Ihr Bild and Das Meer, Am Meer. And and the last we chose, like eine Mondnacht, die Mondnacht.
We know.
An den Mond in einer Herbstnacht. That's it. That is, of course, a very subtle, like it's very conventional in a way, but it's not. It's extreme. It's a 7.5-minute lead, and it's very intimate, and you see your own death in front of you when you hear that. It's just beautiful. It's a beautiful, melancholic piece. But this we chose because you have it in your library.
We thought about to make today the world primary version of the first version of this song, because we saw the manuscript and the song is over, and then Schubert and on the bottom he wrote 3 or 4 more bars. Later.
It's a little recitativo.
Yeah,
He put a little recitativo in it, and it's funny because it stands out in the composition when you start to read it first, and you start to study it, and then think, interesting. Why is there all of a
what's
sudden
that
a
now?
little
Immediately.
recitativo? It's like just one phrase, but
And this come later in the piece.
yeah. And now today we saw it.
And we thought maybe we make the Urfassung, but we decided no, we make the complete.
And it's a good question. I won't go into it, but I mean, when you have text to work with, that provides different types of structural opportunities for composers, I think. And so a lot of the harmonic surprises and things that you get in the instrumental music, I think you still find those in the songs as well, but I think it's also just that tie to the text. That I think both composers are so sensitive to these texts, so it's
you hardly find when you read or you listen to the interviews Eisler gave to Bunge. There's hours of interviews, like recorded interviews by Eisler. You get how sensitive he was for text. He was also the only composer where Brecht allowed that he changes his texts. And he continuously did it. Like there's almost no poem that he didn't change
one
a word
poem,
or something.
At least one word.
Yeah.
It was like a Mani. At least one word Eisler changed.
Yeah. But he was really a genius with words, Eisler. And that is why I would really recommend you have some time now. Read, if you want, of course, but read the texts before you hear them. Because then you can really concentrate more on the singing, and I don't see only faces. And then you get maybe, because it's really a congenial relationship of the word and the music.
Maybe a special part is the Hölderlin songs. We should mention it. These Hölderlin songs belong to the mentioned Hollywood Liederbuch he composed in Hollywood. Und es was a time, es waren 100 Jahre oder 200 Jahre.
Yeah, 100.
200 years Hölderlin, and they made in the Weimar and the Pacific these exile poets, this exil community, Thomas Mann, Bertolt Brecht, Leon Feuchtwanger, Arnold Schönberg, Adorno, and all lived very close together. And they tried to make something with Hollywood in a very different way as in Nazi Germany. They make also a big celebration
Hölderlin, you mean?
of Hölderlin as a German national poet, and this excellence in Hollywood has a very different picture about Hollywood, about Hölderlin, and so decided Eisler to compose the only songs at all by Hölderlin. He composed 6 fragments, and even there, he changed the text.
But
He
just
cut
a few
something,
words.
and
Yeah.
no new word, but he cut something, and it makes sense for the music. It makes really sense. There was Eisler a genius. But sometimes it's one word, it sounds better or it sounds different, and it's better for the music. And now is the result interesting or better understandable as the original version?
Yeah, and these Hölderlin texts are really complicated. They are, I mean, Hölderlin is like a master of the German language, and it's so, the German phrases can be very long because we can, we have a main phrase and we have a neighbor phrase that we can, connect like this. And then in the end it's the verb. And you need a long...
Or not.
Yeah. And you need, to get the real sense, you have to wait until the end. So the thing is, this Hölderlin was a master of that. And also, so if even I have to read these texts like 10 times to really get it. So don't try hard to get it. It's my recommendation. Read it once and then just be there. Just listen to it and get. It's all in the end. These texts are all about missing my homeland. Being somehow alone as an artist in a foreign country. Nobody understands my language. I lost my audience. I have nothing. And when you come from that point of view of listening, then this becomes very actual, because not only in your country, but very actual in your country, there is a worldwide idea of that a refugee is somehow a bad person and they always want something from us. They want something. But in the end, a lot of those people flee their country not willingly. It's like they have to, and they lose everything. And they try to make a living somewhere else. And this evening, it's actually all of them, also Heine, Schubert with his inner immigration, they are all, in a way, refugees. And you can listen also from that perspective if you want.
Well, yeah. Thank you so much for this talk, and we really appreciate it. And we'll let you go get ready, but could you just give another round of applause for our artists? Thank you.